You guys ready? Okay, we just came out of closed session. 1A, 1B, direction to staff. 2A, also direction to staff. And 3A, confidential minutes were approved. Wouldn't mind standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Motion to approve the agenda. Okay.
Second.
First by Supervisor Crew, second by Supervisor Epperson. Call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we need to add an item to consent agenda. 1A, approval waiver of formal bidding process for outfitting of 2 heavy-duty vehicles. Suggested action, waive the formal request for proposal and procedures. Chuck, was all the questions you had on that one answered?
I think so, yes.
Okay.
I have one question on that, maybe.
Yes, sir.
We can put it on consent or on regular agenda if you'd like.
Why don't we do that?
Yeah, okay.
The Public Works Director is not here today. He's on vacation.
Well, you know what, I guess we just go ahead and approve. We can talk about how we go forward later. I'm fine.
Okay, so we're going to put that on 6AE on the consent agenda. Okay, does anybody in the public want to talk about any of this? Anybody on Zoom? Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the addition.
Okay. First by Supervisor Neto, second by Supervisor Crew. Call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, 5-0. On to 4A, update on current year's assessments for county and residential housing growth by the county assessor.
Mr. Chairman, did you take public matters not on the agenda?
I did skip that. Excuse me. Thank you. Public matters not on the agenda, discussion items only, no action to be taken. Any person may address the board at this time upon any subject within the jurisdiction of Amador County Board of Supervisors. However, any matter that requires action may be referred to staff and/or committee for report and recommendation for possible action in subsequent board meetings. Please note there's a 3-minute time limit. Come on up.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. Okay.
How about, oh, much better. All right, good morning, everybody. I'm Mike Blank, and I'm Unit Chief for the CAL FIRE Amador El Dorado unit. And I just want to take a couple minutes this morning and talk about an incident we had last Friday in the upcountry, I believe, in District 3 up there. The Tiger Creek fire, a fire that started on Tiger Creek Road at River Road at about 12:45 on Friday afternoon. As I think everybody's aware, that's one of those areas in the county. It's in the bottom of a river drainage. There's a community above it on the Amador side. There's a community above it on the Calaveras side. It's one of those areas that we take very serious. We've done a lot of pre-planning in those areas. It's one of those areas, in fact, that Chief Wood behind us uses in one of his command and control classes that he teaches statewide for a scenario that has a lot of complexity to it because of the different jurisdictions and all of those kind of things. So just talking about real quick about what happened on Friday. The fire started, like I said, about 12:45 in the afternoon. By probably 1:30, 1:45, we had the staging area set up, we had the ICP set up, and the players that we had up there, we had CAL FIRE, obviously, we had the Amador Fire Protection District, we had BLM, we had the Forest Service, we had Caltrans, we had Board of Supervisors, we had the Sheriff's Office. We had everybody we could possibly need up there that had any kind of stake in the game about who was going to be impacted by that fire. SPI was there. I'm sure I probably missed a few names. PG&E had a big stake in it up there. Some of those kind of things. I guess what I want to say is after an hour up there, we had 20 or 30 people representing all the collaboratives, all the agencies that had a stake in wildland fire that could be impacted by the fire up there and that kind of thing. Phenomenal. The message I want to kind of talk about a little bit this morning real quick is that same kind of effort, that same kind of collaboration, that same kind of coming together and putting together the different pieces is also needed in the fuel reduction, the fire prevention game out there right now. That same effort around fire suppression needs to be in place around fire prevention. I do think, and I think John's going to talk about it here in a few minutes, there are some phenomenal things that go on in this county, fuel reduction wise, fire prevention wise, and some of those kind of things. The point I want to make though is they can be a little more coordinated, a little more collaborative in some of those kind of things. CAL FIRE has a huge role in that. And helping organize some of those kind of things, and we want to be part of that for sure. So the long-term effort, the long-term planning, the commitment it takes to be effective in fuel reduction, fire prevention, all of those kind of things. I want to highlight just kind of a conversation around the fuel break that we used up there on the Tiger Fire. In 2015, I think everybody knows we had the Butte Fire start up on Cheramonga Ranch Road off of Butte Mountain Road, and then within a few hours burned through Calaveras County and all of those kind of things. One thing that came out of that, we put in a big, long contingency line that started basically at the powerhouse there at Electra Road and went all the way up along the McCollum River and ended up at the Tiger Creek Powerhouse somewhere east of there. The fuel break that we used on this fire the other day was part of that contingency line that we put in there in 2015. 10 years ago, we put a line in there knowing that we were, not knowing that if we didn't take an opportunity to put line in and get fuel reduction done when we could do it, that it may not happen again because of all the regulatory issues out there and those kind of things. We may not have a chance to do this again in the near future. So we took advantage of that 10 years ago. Because the battalion chief 10 years ago had a little bit of foresight, we had a fuel break on that ridge line that John and his group was able to go reopen up a few years ago, and they got some money from BLM. And that's what we used to really contain that fire up there. So just an example of long-term commitment, long-term partnerships, long-term relationships is what it's going to take to really get ahead of fire prevention, fuel reduction, and then all of the other impacts that come from those things in the county. So I just wanted to take a minute to say that here this morning and recognize that that was an amazing effort we had up there last Friday, and I would love to see that same kind of collaboration effort moving forward down the road, both in fuel reduction, fire prevention, and the fire suppression that we do in the county. So thanks for your time this morning.
Thank you. Not a problem.
Hi, I'm John Heisenborough, representing the Amador Fire Safe Council today. Appreciate Chief Blankenheim's kind words. I toured the fire area yesterday, and the fuel break worked. No doubt about it. And it really was a collaborative effort, creating that fuel break, working with PG&E, SPI, the Forest Service, BLM, and the Amador Fire Safe Council. And the fuel break that's envisioned goes all the way from Highway 26 up the canyon and up Doakes Ridge to protect much of Amador County. The project that the Fire Safe Council did was on the BLM piece where the fire occurred, and it was funded by the Sierra Nevada Conservancy, a state agency, and it was a grant that was supported by the Board of Soups, which helped a lot in securing the grant. We got a little over $1 million to create that fuel break, and it was Chrisman Enterprises that did most of the work there, and they did really nice work. But if you have a chance, take a ride up there, and you'll see that the investment made was really protected the community of Pioneer and adjacent communities.
Plus,
Thank you.
What he's doing up.
What's that?
Plus what he's done up at Buckhorn Ridge.
Yep. that's another fuel break that's going in, and that's looking really good.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
No questions? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Yeah, we're probably good, but no, I will say that the work you've done has been very good throughout the county, and I think what was not spent up there on that fire, or the homes that were possibly could have been lost, was more than paid for all the funding that went towards those projects. Probably all the projects.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good work, John.
I did go up there and look at that, where they masticated, and yeah, Chrisman did a very nice job, but also, I think CAL FIRE would have probably had a lot more problems without that mastication work there, because at one I spent a lot of time in that canyon chasing cattle and cutting salvage timber on that ground, and at one canyon there's plumb full of knobcone pine, and yeah, that's a brushy, steep area. One thing I wonder about, maybe as Chief Blankenheim is here, is if you could ever look at maybe burning out some of, now that one area is burnt, you got real good tie-ins, you got the roads there. If you could almost, at some point, maybe do a control burn, take out some more of that finger along that road, and run that some defensible areas right up almost into that lake. Yeah, if you could.
Yeah, so I think that's a great idea and a great question. And I think the answer to that question is kind of framing the challenge that we have in this fuel reduction world out there. Spot on. There's an issue with fuel, there's an issue with the knobcone pine, and all those kind of things. We need to be getting rid of those things. The conversation about how to do it, though, really kind of introduces us to the bureaucratic nature of the world we live in right now, of ownership and all of those kind of things. The reason there was so many players up there in the fire suppression thing last Friday is because there's that many people have ownership in the land up there. BLM's a big landowner, those kind of things. The big challenge that CAL FIRE has is in the fire suppression world, it's probably not the right word, but we almost have eminent domain over what we can do. The PRC is very clear that if there's a uncontained wildland fire, CAL FIRE has the authority and the resources to go on people's property and put it out and do what we need to do for the public interest, and a good thing. We have a huge budget for it. We have all the equipment and all of those kind of things. In the fire prevention world, fuel reduction, that sort of thing, we have none of that authority and none of that funding. Everything we do comes with a partnership with somebody else, another landowner, a government agency, something along those lines, which we're getting better and better and better at it, because over the years, other agencies are recognizing it's good to partner, because CAL FIRE has to have the partnership, or we have no authority to do anything out there right now. So you're spot on, Brian. I think there's a real conversation about those things. It needs to include BLM, and it needs to include the Fire Safe Council and the RCD and some of those kind of things. We're going to look at identifying those things in the CWPP that we're going to kick off tomorrow. It's not a satisfying answer, because it's a long, drawn-out process that goes through government and all of those kind of things. And before a chainsaw ever hits a piece of brush, it's probably 2 or 3 years from the inception of the idea before that actually ever happens. And that's a horrible thing, I think, but at the end of the day, if we don't start the discussion, those 2 or 3 years are never going to start. So I think it's a great question, and I think it's a great idea, and I think it's also a great way to kind of frame the challenge around getting these projects done, not just in this county, but in the state of California right now. So I full support on what you're asking, and what we're going to start off with tomorrow, maybe not tomorrow itself, but the process that we're going to kick off tomorrow is going to be a recognition of the challenges around all the things that we need to be doing in here, and all the agencies that need to be involved, the people that need to be involved in some of those kind of things. So great question, and I'm glad I got to kind of maybe start this conversation a little bit today, but I agree 100% with what you're saying, and there's just a whole lot that goes into cutting down some knobcone pine, unfortunately.
That's sad, but you're probably right.
Agreed.
Mike, a quick.
Yeah.
I have heard that the money funneled into suppression is never ending, but for prevention is this CWPP is to maybe balance that scale a little more,
So
recognize the problem on the other side?
for me, yes, and you're spot on there, that in the fire suppression side of things, there's a pot of money set aside in the state every year through the legislature, and it's called the 0900 Fund, the Emergency Expenditure Fund, or something along those lines. And basically, they'd load the budget with whatever CAL FIRE spent last year. So the last 8 or 9 years, unfortunately, it's been in the neighborhood of like $900 million. It's insane how much money we have towards fire suppression and those kind of things. Spot on. We don't have that same pot of resources on the fire prevention side of things. So things like partnerships and grant funding and all of those kind of things become infinitely important when it comes to funding the fire suppression or fire prevention side of things. And it's the nature of the game where grants and these things almost have to come with collaboration, with partnership and all of those kind of things for the grant application to be successful and all those kind of things. It is a miserably hard process to go through with all of these kind of things, but at the end of it, infinitely worth doing for the county, I think. So you're spot on with the question. That to me is the big challenge for us is, like I said, everything we have as far as authority and funding and all those kind of things for fire suppression, we lack that on the fire prevention side of things. And it's been recognized. There are discussions about those things at the legislator level, at the governor's level, and some of those kind of things. But again, this is government. We work within it. Those things take forever to get there. And there are things that are more pragmatic that we can do locally on the ground and that kind of thing that just involve better communication, better collaboration, and those kind of things to help get some of those resources to the county. And I do think the CWPP is a great way to start with that. People that fund grants look at those documents and they look for things like large-scale projects that meet a lot of needs of a lot of different agencies and those kind of things. Those are the projects they want to fund, and those are the things that we're going to identify in the CWPP with the hopes of more money coming in, more projects on the ground, more success like we had last Friday, you know, some of those kind of things. But again, we're not going to fix it in August. It's going to take us a little while to get there, but the conversation has to start, and I'm hoping maybe this is the start of that conversation.
Do they have any idea of the origin of that fire yet? What caused it? The start?
I don't. Our prevention guys definitely do, but
Okay.
the official word is under investigation right now.
Another thing too, you know, something is just, you might have enough horsepower, but maybe the Heisenbettles might, but something else I see, and John and I we argue a little bit about it, but he's probably right. What I see a lot of these fires kills everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of like, well, we can't control burns. They may get out of hand or maybe kill a lot of the forest or everything, but I wonder at some point if there's not a way we could figure out a way to just control burns. And yeah, we may lose some of the forest to a certain degree, but I don't think we can masticate everything. And if you get a wildfire, it kills everything. A lot of places, it's a stand destroying fire. Mm-hmm. I would think we should maybe be looking at saying, hey, yeah, we're gonna burn some of these areas. Yeah, we're gonna lose pockets of timber. Maybe 30% of your stand, but you'll have something left when you're done. It's just something to throw out there.
Yeah, again, we don't own any of the land. CAL FIRE doesn't. And unfortunately, those decisions come down to individual landowners on what they're willing to accept as far as mortality and some of those kind of things in the project. SPI, we work very closely with SPI, and they do have some tolerance for that, for what you're talking about. They do used to burn a little bit hotter anyway, some of those kind of things for effective fuel breaks. But you are identifying the challenges, Brian, 100% on that. And like I said, unfortunately, that there's not one standard that we can come up with on that because there are so many different people that own the land that we work on.
Is SPI still doing those control burns they were doing like from West Point or over in Shake Ridge?
Yeah, nope, absolutely. Yep, the Winton Shad's fuel break in Calaveras County has been in place since 1985 or something like that. So yep, they are active in that, and they are active on Dokes Ridge. They are active on Fiddletown Road. They are very active. That SPI is one of our best partners in that realm.
Because some of that work they did off of Skull Flat, I guess Skull Flat Road looked really nice.
100%. Yep. Okay. Yep. And I got to give the Forest Service some credit on this one too. They are maybe not re-engaging. They are engaging in this in a much better way in the last couple of years. They've recognized the value of private industry and some of those kind of things. That fuel break that you see going up Highway 88 that starts about, I don't know, Ham Station or somewhere in that neighborhood and goes up past Bear River. Almost all of that was all Forest Service, but it was all done through a private contractor they hired to come do it. And that's probably one of the best fuel breaks I've ever seen. It's beautiful. So it's getting better and better. The work is getting done. There's just so much more to do and so much more of this conversation.
Well, as you bring this up, the county is looking into changing some of our ordinances, dealing with it. So when we get to farther along, I do want to invite your staff to come to our committees and dealing with part of that. You know.
Yeah,
And also, John,
Yep.
it'll be the Fire Safe Council too, as we're reopening some of the, one of our district as far as fire prevention and stuff, so.
Love it.
We're trying to do some of that. So I thank you. We've been talking long enough about this. I appreciate you coming here, and I appreciate all your firefighters and firefighters that came from everywhere.
They did.
Around the area. I had to get a kick out of it when I got a picture of one of the trucks coming from the Butte.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
it's- That was Friday evening, so that was incredible.
Cool. All right.
thank
Thank you
you.
for your time this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else on public? Okay. On to 4A. Now, Jim, it's your turn.
Good morning, Amador County Assessor, Jim Rooney. I'm here with Jeff Himmelman. And once a year, we like to go before each jurisdiction in the county, school board, city councils, and this board, and give you an update on the latest of our assessments over the past year. And let's see, can you go to the next one, Jennifer? All right, well, last year, it was pretty simple. Assessments in the county went up 4.1%. You know, I was looking at prior years, and in the prior years, they've gone up, 3.57%, 6%, 7%, 4%, 4%. This is right, usually about where we expected it to be. Actually, it's a little bit higher. Things are pretty stable in the county. You know, Prop 13 allows assessments to go up a maximum of 2% a year unless there's new construction or a change in ownership. So 4.1%, it's above 2. That means I think a good chunk of that is sales, don't you think, Jeff? And there's a bit of new construction in Plymouth and Ione, some in the county, but a lot of that 4.1% increase, that's sales of property get reassessed. Next, so I did want to say that things are stable, and the largest growing area in the county. Can you go to there's a slide with a whole bunch of numbers on it. Yeah, that one. Well, I don't know how much of that you can see, but the largest increase in the county was the Plymouth area. It was about a 9% increase this year, and actually 9.93%. And I think a good chunk of that is probably the Zinfandel Ridge area. We were over in Plymouth, they asked us about how the casino's affecting things. We have no idea. And at this point, I don't think it has. In the future, it might. The next largest growing area is Ione, grew about 5.5%. And Castle Oaks has kind of been built out at the present time. We went before the water agency, and as we finished our presentation, I said, well, let me tell you, we visited a jurisdiction that said Sacramento County has plans between Excelsior and Sunrise of 100,000 new homes. Last year, Amador County had 142 new homes. That includes Plymouth, Ione, all the jurisdictions. We're not growing very fast. And I'd like to also tell people that that's not a judgment as being something good or something bad. It's more of an observation. We're pretty stable. There's a few new homes in the Castle Oaks area and in Plymouth, and there will be some other things happening. But right now, things aren't growing very fast. As I was leaving the water agency meeting, the city manager of Ione stopped me and told me 3 times they have plans for 1,500 new homes in Ione. And I asked him about it, and he told me again. And then he told me again. We don't see that because we checked into it. We don't have any tentative maps. But I did check with a few sources who said they think that there's potentially 900 new home sites in the Ione area. And those people with information said, but there's always bumps in the road, and there's economic ups and downs with the market. So, of course, there's a lot of homes on the horizon, but at what time frame? And that we don't know. So, but we came across some interesting information this year. And can you go to the residences? You know, that shows the number of residences in each jurisdiction. And the important one is on the far right. Last year, we had an increase of less than 1% for new homes in the county. But we keep track of not only new homes, but we keep track of how many of these homes are considered primary residences. This is the home that people declare, this is the home we're living in, this is our primary home. They could have another residence somewhere, but this they establish as their primary residence. In Amador County, the number of primary residences that people call their home has been decreasing for 6 years in a row. And it's while the number of homes has been increasing.
Yeah, I had a question on that, because it looked like other than Amador City and Plymouth, they're all dropping. Is that vacation rentals maybe
Well, I think it's a combination of things. One thing, we determine a primary residence by people, they file for a homeowner's exemption. And that homeowner's exemption takes $7,000 off their assessed value and gives them a little tax break. Well, that $7,000 hasn't changed in about 30 years. When the price of a home was $35,000, $7,000 off that, well, that was 20%. That's substantial. Now $7,000 off a $600,000 home, it's about a 1.25%. But regardless, it's an important thing to have because it helps transfer your base year value so you can keep your property taxes low. But still, I was at a conference with other assessors, and this is common throughout the state. There are less primary residences throughout the state. It's a little bit troubling. However, again, it's an observation. Number of homes is going up, but the number of people with primary residences, especially in this county, is going down. I think there are more renters, to be honest with you. At the Sutter Creek meeting, the fire chief came in. He wanted to talk to some people. He asked the people in this home, are they home now? The neighbors said, no, they just bought this home. They come up on weekends from the Bay Area. It's their vacation home, I guess. And so that sort of thing is happening. But essentially, what we're here to tell you is we're not particularly growing. And again, that's not a judgment as being something good or bad. It's something that is just happening. And so that is the information we have. Do you have any questions, concerns?
I have one.
What's that? Yeah.
We do these almost monthly roll corrections.
Yeah.
Are those included in that 4.1% growth?
Probably not. That was done those are done after the roll is turned over.
So they're always a quarter behind or a year behind?
Or they
Show
are.
up somewhere.
Yeah, they do. And
So
That's
this,
kind of a big number.
these numbers are accurate as of July 1st.
Oh,
So it's a snapshot in time.
yeah.
And then we use these numbers for going through the fiscal year. But as people move and people come and go, then you get the supplemental taxes and things like that. But this is accurate as of that date.
and we'd be doing it the same way.
Correct, that's why it always does. So.
But you see, like we did a lot of roll corrections here the last couple of years.
Oh, yeah. I got to tell you, it was nothing like 2008, 9, and 10. I was doing thousands of them. I don't know how many of you remember that, but, the market's pretty stable right now. In 2005 and 6, the real estate market was going up 15% a year, 20% a year. 2008 and 9, it went down 40%. It was really about 40%. Prop 13 limits values, assessed values, only 2% a year, which means they're artificially low or conservative. So they are artificially low. However, if the market takes a big tank, a big dive, that big dive is going to be much less too. Because whereas the real estate market went down 40%, assessments went down about 10%. Can you imagine a 40% reduction? Boy, it would be disastrous. So Prop 13 is very stabilizing in that regard. There is another, one more slide. This is as of last year. I don't have the data for '24, but it shows the Prop 13, when it's compared with population and inflation, the population's gone up 65%, inflation index up 290%, and property tax revenues throughout the state up well over 1,000%. It just shows that Prop 13, even with its limitations, is still far outpacing population and inflation. And it's, you know, it's very helpful, especially to elderly, because they know their property taxes aren't going to be changed more than 2% in a year.
That's actually a real interesting slide.
It is, yes. Yeah. So anyway, that's what we have for this year. It's, we gave this information to Chuck a little while back, and hopefully it helps a little bit with the budget.
So
So,
just to clarify, almost 50% of our homes are not primary residences out of our 10,000 homes.
no, in the county, there's about 15,000, there are 15,600 residences. No, you're right. No, it's almost 8,300, so it's a little more,
58%.
little more than half.
Do you know how many of those are rentals or just, I mean, not like vacation homes or second homes, but are they actually being rented out?
Yeah, you know, that's data that we just don't have. When people buy their home,
Yeah.
they do what they want with it, and we don't check up on, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, rental or, you can kind of get that information a little bit on the internet by looking to see, you know, if somebody wants to rent a place, they're putting it out there.
You know, question on that, Jim. So primary residence, that could be a rental also? Somebody's renting a home, that's their primary residence?
No, it's not supposed to be. If we found out that somebody was renting a home and calling it their primary residence, we would pull that exemption.
So really what you may see is maybe less people are owning the home, maybe more people are renting, or vacation rentals would drop that primary residence.
It's a combination of that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's an aggressively rising national resentment from the younger generations that's starting to concern a lot of people with where it will lead politically. When there's half the homes aren't available and 2 generations can't find one to purchase. So I did a straw poll of my own at the fair of the young families, and yeah, the resentment is here in Amador County as well.
Yeah, I give my advice to young people. I say, be ready, the markets do change, even though it seems like they never will again. So, and it is troubling. I used to speak with one of the supervisors who's not here anymore, and I said, you know, it used to be in this county, you could buy a piece of land for $15,000, get your permits and fees for septic or sewer or water, and maybe with 15, 20,000, 25,000, start building with home equity. Can't do that anymore. Permits or hookup fees, permit fees, they're pretty prohibitive these days. So, but anyway.
So a question too about that, the 7,000 off of taxes for primary residences, is that also a reflexive thing where you can charge more for non-primary residences?
No, we assess a property at what it's worth, and then if they apply for that exemption, we just take it off the overall value.
Do they apply that through you then, or through?
Yeah. And if you want to check, everybody should have it on their home. You can look at your assessment.
Yeah.
And if it says minus $7,000 anywhere on it, you have it.
Okay.
If it's not there, you should contact us, and the form's very easy to fill out.
Is it retroactive? No, I'm saying.
Maybe a few months, that's it. So, any other, I was gonna say, if you have any other questions or concerns, you can contact me at the office. If you have problems, ask for Jeff. So, all right,
Okay,
thanks a lot.
thank you, sir. Anybody from the public want to talk about this? Anybody on Zoom? Supervisors, any other questions? Okay. That was a presentation only. 4B, Animal Control, Acceptance of Bequest of Animal Control from Valerie Jean Sherlock Estate.
Morning, Evan Jacobs, Director of Animal Control. I am here to ask for the acceptance of a bequest from Valerie Jean Sherlock, who resided in the 9,000 block of SD Way in Plymouth. She passed away November 12th, 2024 in her estate. She graciously left us 10% of her estate in the approximate amount of $115,000, give or take, per speaking with the probate attorney. I did find out a little bit more information from a volunteer here at the shelter that loosely was affiliated with her. It turns out she was a pilot. I'm not sure if it was commercial or private, and then went on to being an air traffic controller for many years. We had no real history with her in the animal control world, except she religiously licensed her dogs when she had them. So we are very grateful for her bequest, and wanted to make sure that you all were aware of it, so I can answer any questions you guys might have.
Did you have any special project you're thinking for this?
I've been talking to staff. I think we're looking to try and upgrade some of our cat kennels. I don't want to say we're, in ancient times, but getting larger cat kennels for less stress and would be probably our priority, but we're going to kind of wait and see how kitten season pans out first before pulling the trigger on anything exact. But I think that's kind of where we're leaning to. Maybe a play yard for another set of dogs, because you can never have them out, outside of the shelter environment. So it's kind of our loosely goal right now at this point.
Okay.
No, I'd say it's a pretty nice bequest, and I will say, I've always liked animals, but as we get older and watch animals more, those animals really have a way of getting to you.
Oh, yeah.
I think my cat's about running the entire household, and
I say my dogs sleep in my bed more than I sleep in my bed.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, my
yes.
cats are doing the same thing. Anybody from the public? Anybody on Zoom? Okay, back to the board.
hey, I just appreciate the lady thinking the animals and making the bequest. So I'd make a motion that we go ahead and accept the bequest from
Second.
maybe the
Oh, sorry.
late Valerie Jean Sherlock estate.
Now I'll second. Already cut you off.
Okay. Motion by Supervisor Neto, second by Supervisor Carnell. Call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Evan.
Okay, we have 4C, request for no parking along Feather Court in Comanche. Who's running this one?
Yes, Chuck is.
It was, yeah, Public Works, but there's no, Rich is on vacation. So this is the result of a request that came in from the residents on Feather Court. I don't know if it was every single one of them or not. I believe it went to the Public Works Committee, did it not?
Yes.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, this little memo talks about it too. It said there's 11 properties. They got a request for no parking signs from 8 of the 11, and then 2 signatures retained from residents who are not owners. So that's most of them.
The ones who will be impacted at least by these. The downside, of course, is that no parking signs affect the people that you want it to affect, and then the people that you don't want it to affect, because it's across the board. And I'm sure somebody will run into this and wish they were not there. But so we can deal with that at the time. I doubt the sheriff will be patrolling out there. So for this is not a real public safety issue. It's more of a convenience issue. And as I understand it, talking to Supervisor Epperson, the neighbors out there all have pretty much enough room to park themselves, so they are not parking on the street themselves.
I thought we did one of these about 5 or 6 years ago.
did.
We have done a
Multiples?
couple of these in that area on other roads. We just,
How far are we going to keep marching to no parking?
as
Well,
far as they
as far
keep
as they
marking
keep-
out, I guess.
Yeah.
Parking down the road, not to pay for parking inside Comanche.
After we park, we put these signs up, they will move to the next street over. And
Well, good news is that next street's quite a ways away, so it's up around the corner, so. Yeah, I parked there a couple times during campaign season, and it's a fairly narrow entrance anyway. The cul-de-sac, I mean, you have to park on somebody's lawn pretty much to park there also. And like I said, like I mentioned, they all have pretty long, deep driveways on that cul-de-sac as well, so yeah, I think it's probably fine.
Is there an option for no parking for residents only or something like that, or not really?
that, not really. We could put in permits, but then that's a whole process, and that's,
Okay, anybody from the public want to talk on this? Zoom? Okay. Looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve no parking along Feather Court in Comanche.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion by Supervisor Epson, a second by Supervisor Crew. Call for the vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
So this will come back on consent at the next meeting
okay.
for adoption.
General Services Administration, transfer 50,000 to, and development and impact fees to Amador City for pavilion and fence project at Colbert Park.
Good morning,
Morning.
GSA Director Glenn Spitzer. So this is a request from the pre-2020 Development Impact Fee account for a park in Amador City. And Susan Bragstad's going to give us a little bit of information about that park. Just wanted to say the Mitigation Fee Act, it generally requires that we expend this money as soon as practicable. And this money's been in the account for a while, so the expenditure on qualifying projects, we want to do that as quickly as we can. And this is a qualifying project. ACRA recommended approval of this. And also, the board recently adopted an amended capital improvement plan, and this park is on that project. This specific project is on that plan. So, Susan, do you want to speak to the project?
Susan Bragstad, Amador City. Hope Luxembourg owns and owned the land and willed it to the city only to be used as a park. So as a retired architect and planner, I did some sketches for a very simple little sitting area, park, and a couple parking spaces. And the city approved it, and it'd be wonderful to have the money to do the project.
Where is it actually at?
It's up behind, you go up a little alley, Keystone Alley, just to the right of Amador Hotel, and then wind up the hill, and it's behind the museum,
Oh, okay.
just an open space park. Most of it's covered in oak and pine, and this is a little flat area that overlooks town, and it'd be a great place just to sit and visit and look at town.
Does that park have signage? I was trying to find it on Google earth, and I found it, but not that way. I was just curious. Is there signage for the park? I never heard of it before. I was on Akron. I didn't realize it was there. I had to look it up. I was talking to Glenn yesterday about it. But is there signage for it, like just points to the park from the main street there?
I think we'd add a sign.
Very good, okay.
There is no sign now.
That's what I was asking, I guess. Yeah, okay. That'd be a reasonable idea. I just couldn't find it. I just want to point that out as well.
Yeah,
I think it's a good project, though.
yeah. It's just a little sitting area.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay, thank you
You know,
very much.
One thing
Welcome.
I would say, if you're gonna, what kind of fence you gonna put around there? Do you know what kind of fence you're gonna put up?
Say that again?
Talks about fencing.
It's part of the project.
Yeah, do you know what type of fencing you're gonna put up?
I did a sketch in the drawings. It's to repeat the fencing that's down in the parking lot, kind of a historic design.
Because what I was gonna say is,
It's wire and piping. It's very open visually.
okay. Because if you're gonna be putting up fencing, you might wanna cut some of your dead trees, dead branches. I see people put up fences and the next year something falls on it and crush their fences. So-
Part of the project is to remove some, what do they call, foothill pines? They have about 3 names.
Bull pines.
I know them as digger, but we're not supposed to say digger. And some of them are leaning over the park area, which are to be removed.
That'd be a real good idea, because I tell people, if you have anything you like that has a bull pine next to it, cut it, when they're small.
Yeah. And I'd like to find grant money to remove, in the whole park area, to remove all the bull pines.
That whole
And
hill.
just promote the oaks.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, any question from you?
No,
Okay. Thank you, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, anybody else from the public? Anybody else on Zoom?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Well, looking for a motion.
So moved.
Okay.
second.
Supervisor Epperson, Supervisor Crew, call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It was Carnell, but yeah.
What's that?
Carnell made the motions.
Yeah.
You said Epperson.
Oh, sorry.
You're fine.
Yeah.
It's in my
My
district.
hearing said right, but my finger said left.
No problem. Just-
Okay, Supervisor Cornell, motion, Supervisor Crew, and we have a 5-0 vote. So thank you. Okay.
Yeah, congratulations, enjoy.
General Service Administration, amendment to grant application policy, suggested action, adoption of amended grant application and award policy.
Yes, good morning again. GSA Director Glenn Spitzer. When I started as GSA Director, first thing I did was go through the municipal code sections related to GSA, and same with the policies, and came across this 1998 grant policy that generally requires that grant applications go through a screening through GSA, somewhat of an approval process, preliminary approval process, and that a form be filled out, and kind of this tedious process. And then I talked to people and realized no one was aware of this policy, and no one was following it, and everything was moving along perfectly fine. So totally unnecessary to have GSA as the gatekeeper of these grants. No one's been doing this for years. No one's been filling out these forms for years. The important thing about grants is that sometimes there's a match requirement. And so there's a commitment from the county. And those are the ones that the board approves. And so this amendment, what it does is it streamlines the process to make the process conform to the policy, to the amended policy. And basically takes GSA out of it, and removes the form and clarifies the information that needs to go to the board and also to the auditors, so that the auditors are aware of what goes on with these types of grants, grant applications that commits the county to some sort of resource. So if you have any questions about it, I can answer those.
Pretty ministerial.
Yeah,
Okay.
Well, it's pretty straightforward.
pretty straightforward.
Okay, anybody questions from the public? Zoom?
Not at this time.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, call for the motion.
So moved.
Okay, now time of Supervisor Epperson.
Second.
And second by Supervisor Neto. Call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, that passes 5-0. Okay, consideration and possible action regarding the amendment of County Code Chapter 7.85 to provide a temporary waiver of park and recreation impact fees.
Morning Supervisors. At the request of Supervisor Carnell, we amended what the existing Chapter 7.85, which had been originally passed back in 2008, the county temporarily waived a few impact fees, the facilities fee, the park fee. I can't remember whether there was something else in there. And that fee waiver time expired long ago. Supervisor Carnell raised the question of whether the county wants to consider any further fee waivers of these impact fees. So we drafted the ordinance for the board to consider. I drafted a short memo. What I had hoped to include in that memo, and I didn't get the information in time, was how much has been collected total. And I checked with ACRA, and ACRA in their regional account has $670,894. And then I asked, well, how much is that broken down by jurisdiction? Because all the cities and the counties had signed an MOU that technically isn't binding, but it's sort of the same way we deal with traffic impact fees. There's a regional fee and a local fee. The regional fee goes to ACTC, and they sort of manage that regional component. And ACRA didn't know what the breakdown of the jurisdictions was, so I checked with the auditor's office, and since the county started collecting the impact fee in January of 2021, the county has sent ACRA $583, $583,096. So it's almost 87% of what ACRA's total is. So I know that the county, the unincorporated county, is not that high of a percentage of new home permits. So I guess what I'm saying is either the cities aren't collecting the regional fee or they're not sending it to ACRA. I assume they're not sending it to ACRA. So I don't have a good, I can't tell the board what the total of the regional fee has been collected. Mr. Rooney indicated that last year there were 142 new homes in the county. So that would be, if they were all single-family residences, that would be $467,606 in the regional account. So the county has two fees. The regional account that goes to ACRA, which is the $3,293, and then a local component for county-owned parks, local parks, which is $406. All the other cities and jurisdictions, they have their own local fee. All are higher than the county. Some are quite a bit higher. Plymouth has the highest local impact fee, so it's $3,500 for the local, and then $3,200 for the regional. But this is, that's my information, so I guess it's up to the board. The one consideration, if you do waive it, is does there need to be a backfill? The one thing you won't be able to, if you waive it for, let's say, 2 years, that money, you can't go back and recoup it from future development. It's gone. So either then that money is just gone, or it has to be backfilled from other sources to sort of fill that gap in what the future needs are going to be for impact fees. And the way just one more thing, the way the impact fees are determined was they did a survey of all the park rec facilities in the county, compared that to the population. And so then they sort of have a baseline per capita, how much park per capita per person in the county. And then as the county grows slowly, the goal is to keep that per capita ratio of park facilities. And so you do incrementally increase park facilities as population goes up to keep it the same. So if you waive the fee, then you would sort of either backfill that amount or sort of accept a lower per capita facility ratio.
Question on that, wouldn't some of the fee be used for that project up in Pioneer, for like a new pickleball court?
Yeah, so the regional fee would be ultimately, pursuant to the MOU, there's a process, it's really ACRA that decides how the fee is spent. There's a group of the city council, of the CAOs and the city administrators that sort of talk first, and then it goes to ACRA. There's a capital improvement plan that ACRA's passed, but yeah, Pioneer Park's a regional park, Molly Joyce is a regional park, Howard Park, of course. Jackson has the
Dieter Park.
it's the other one. It's the one they
Oro de Amador?
Oro de Amador.
All right,
It's the one they're talking about mostly. But so yeah, those are the parks, the regional parks that sort of everyone in the county would be expected to, like everyone goes to Howard Park to play soccer, whether you're up in Pioneer or in Ione.
So the impact fees aren't used for day-to-day operations?
You can't use it for maintenance, you can't use it for operations, you can only use it for facilities. You can get a little creative, where we resurface tennis courts to pickleball courts, things like that. But generally speaking, it should be new development to serve new residents.
Like an upgrade might be permissible.
Yeah, if you let's say, put lights in at Howard Park and said, well, lights allow you to use the fields more, so you're serving more population.
But because I have lights at the upper baseball at Pioneer Park, I can't use it to upgrade those lights.
Yeah, because they're existing already.
Right.
We'll knock them down, then you put in lights.
Yeah, really. Okay, just for grins and giggles here, I'm putting an ADU for my mother on my property, and so I just wanted to break down the fees that I've got from the building department. So her total fees are $14,156. So going down the list is, of course, they have planning review, building planning. The building planning review fee is $123. Building plan review fee is $906. The ACRA fee regional is $1,284. The technology maintenance is $178. A state fee residential is $22. Calderon state fee is $7. CASP state fee is $4. School impact fee is $57.43. TMF admin is $24. TMF local impact $995. TMF regional is $1468. AFPD impact is $763. ACRA Pioneer, which I thought that was kind of interesting, was $406. County facility impact fee is $1865, and building inspection fee is $1394. So that went through all the fees that is being assigned to that project.
Yeah, that Pioneer 406, that's the local fee that
Local fee.
we keep it in pots based on sort of the area.
But I don't think ACRA does. That's
No,
what.
ACRA keeps theirs in a regional pot.
Right.
For all those regional parks. But our local fee, the 406, is like the old impact fee, which is, you're not expected to, they're only for local parks. So you wouldn't, like.
What I'm saying
so
is
if
that-
you built a home up country, you couldn't, it's not appropriate to spend that local money in Ione.
Right. But as far as the money itself, as we're accounting for it,
That stays with the county.
so that's staying with the county, okay.
And the regional is to account for the fact that people in Pine Grove still go to Ione to
Right.
play soccer.
And the county is sending its money to Accra, but I don't believe other jurisdictions are, given the numbers.
Okay.
I talked to a developer a week and a half ago, and all I really heard was AWA, AWA, AWA. That's what I heard. I mean, everything else is kind of budget dust in their minds, it felt like. I mean, I'm not speaking for him, but he was really concerned about the water. For him, that was the kind of the nail in the coffin when it comes to be able to making money or the profit margin, make it worth building houses. And I just thought that was kind of curious. That was the one thing he was really concerned about. He thought it might actually shut him down.
Acker was a breath away from no longer existing this year. And there are mechanisms for maintaining the parks that we do have, and they're sitting on this $700,000 pile of money to build more things to maintain. But they can't use one penny of it to maintain what we have.
Well, one thing, Logan, I did say too, though, is like, maybe if you do like a quotes upgrade to a park, you can use up money at times.
Yep.
If you're a little bit, I don't know if I'd say creative, but if you're thinking around outside the box a little bit.
Our parks haven't reached the point of saturation. I stop by Molly Joyce 3 times a week, and it's my park all to myself most times. Pioneer Park is my park all to myself too, if I were to stop by there most times. Maybe one person with a dog, but generally no. And I mean, I think parks are in large part for children, yet half of our homes aren't even primary residences. I'm just thinking of ways to promote the next generation having a house. And if right now we have to put this on hold in order to motivate that happening, I think there's time constraints on spending this money, and we're struggling to do that. Ione said no twice to it, and that's all public. Like, the 30-year-olds are listening to us struggling to spend the money that they take, and they can't have a house. It just sounded bad to me. I thought if we could put it on hold for a little while, it might sound like we care. Not that we don't. I'm trying to put that message out.
Logan, what temporary, what did you have, 2 years, 5 years?
2 years.
2 years. Does Acker have any impact projects on the horizon?
Well, that's kind of the weird thing about all this is we're trying to, the Molly Joyce property across the street, which is near the Amador Hotel up there. They're trying to get a bike and hiking trails along that section. So that's a fairly good-sized project that they're working on. Part of the problem that I have with this is I've been trying to get things done at this parks. You know, everybody always complains about the tennis courts up at Pioneer Park. Well, we're working on it. We're doing it. You know, when do those bids close out? Glenn?
Not sure. Let me get you the.
No, that's fine. I was just curious if you knew it right offhand. So,
But
you know,
we're in the middle of getting them out right now.
okay. And so that project is happening, but a lot of people don't know that project's happening. You know, I've advertised it like crazy. I have the drawing sitting on the window in the park, and I was still accused last night of a gentleman that sitting there, well, you haven't done anything in that park in 20 years. So I'm trying to do something. I'm trying to work, and the only thing I'm afraid of is if we do this, when I finally get projects to go at any of these parks that we have, from Fiddletown up to us, I won't have the money then. That's the only thing I'm just leery of.
Tennis court projects, 100,000 apiece.
What's that?
How much are the tennis court projects?
Each of the tennis courts are about $400,000.
And it was largely grant money.
Well, that was quite a bit. It was half impact and half grant money.
That's correct, yeah.
400,000 apiece?
I think the grant was 400,000, if that's right. And it was the Fiddletown Park that we didn't use any of the grant for, and then the Pioneer Park. So,
Part of the problem, Pat, is prevailing wage.
What, you gonna hold the US Open over there?
Yes.
Yes.
You know, the money that, you know, and that's the craziest part of all this is that Supervisor Cornell and I worked around the Veterans Hall. But if I had done a contract on that, you know, here we are just volunteering our own personal equipment, our own stuff, that was probably a $40,000 project, just the two of us.
The government did it, yeah.
If the government did it. And that's the huge frustrating portion of this.
Well, that was another thought I had. I remember as a little baby boy, Gary Gladen and my dad out there building portions of Pioneer Park. And now that they've built it with a lot of volunteer hours, we assessed it as having this huge value. And then now we're basing what we're going to need in the future off of that assessed value of what we already had that was done through volunteer efforts. And I'm just wondering if we could help people build homes, and then if we need some improvements on the park, we all team together as a community and go down and help, and then mitigate the costs. I mean, I don't know how to resurface a tennis court, but I could probably get the trees out around it that are threatening it and save some money. Just thought right now it's $30,000 to build a 1,500 square foot home. I think 25,000 sounds better than 30.
The only thing else is connecting up to AWA is 25.
Yeah, right. So it's our 30 plus their 25 plus, and just not going to happen.
You know, I understand where you're going, and I think it's some, I guess trying it for a while, it wouldn't be the end of the world. I think the most major factor we probably have is coming from the state, and maybe even from the public to a certain degree. It's a sticky wicket. Mm-hmm. You don't want people living out in tents necessarily, because sometimes I guess you can burn down the neighborhood whether you're in a tent or a home. It kind of doesn't matter, but and that's where people say that they're worried about their neighbor's house catching fire and burning down their house. So I get that, but if you look back years ago, some of these homes, probably some of my ancestors had, you'd probably call a barn today, but they lived in them and they had a family and they were secure. It's a real hard problem, because you look at people, there's some people at times living in trailer houses. People say that lowers their property values, which it probably does, I get that, but people also have a house. Personally, I don't really mind people living in a trailer house too much, as long as they don't burn down the neighborhood and kept it clean. Because sometimes you see some homes that are absolute cat poop messes, and you see a trailer house next door, it really looks pretty nice. So the whole home thing is, I know government, not necessarily so much the county, but especially state, they made it pretty expensive to build a house. A lot of requirements. So how you change that? It might take those young folks getting mad to change it.
They're mad. A local contractor working for the phone company was running a line and had to go to each house, and talked about in the old days, you go knock on the door and people lived there, and now most of the houses are empty. They couldn't get a hold of anybody, couldn't find the owners of them. They talked to the one person there, and if some tree fell in their driveway, they had no neighbors to call for help. I mean, that's what's happening to our upcountry, is the houses are owned by people who don't live here. And, you know, just for me personally, my wife and I always dreamed of building a home. And we born right here, right where we sit, both of us. And we drew our home and we got all ready and found out it was unaffordable. And then when something like this happened, we ran down and took advantage of it. We took advantage of that 2008 opportunity, and we built our house that we live in today.
So would this would be just in the county then, or would it be cities and counties, or?
It would just be the county's fee, which is the regional and the local component.
Okay.
So houses built in the unincorporated county.
And would there be an opportunity to do by application only, like somebody could apply for relief, or would that be something would just be just done?
I don't think we could do it on a case-by-case basis. I think that would be problematic. The way it's written, the way the ordinance is written, it's, you'd get one a year. You could get up to one a year.
So if you're building 20 homes, you only get the one, or you're getting 0 at that point. The other 19, you're paying it.
Well, if you're building them all in 1 year, but if you built 5 a year, you could get a break every year off of one of those.
I'm sure people will discover a way to take advantage of it.
Oh, I know, no doubt about it, no.
It'd be better if it's a one-time thing, I would think.
We could change, yeah, the ordinance is just, it's drafted, the board can change it. You could give us direction to come back. The other thing I'm still not sure how much regional money ACRA's has been collected countywide. So if you just, so Mr. Rooney said 142 new homes last year countywide. Even if you say, okay, 130 single-family homes paying that $32.93 over the last 5 years, that's still over $2 million. So I'm not sure where that money is, if it's being collected, if it's available for ACRA. I mean, so there should be money in a pot now. I just don't know where.
That might be an interesting question.
Yeah.
How much money is in our pot again? 700,000?
So according to ACRA, there's 670,894, and out of that, they've said they've expended $2,600 that they applied towards one of the projects recently.
Yeah, I think it's the the biking thing on the Molly Joyce property.
And the county, unincorporated county, has contributed $583,000 of that. So 86.9% of what ACRA has. So wherever this other money is, so there's an MOU that was signed by all the cities in the county that says all the jurisdictions will collect the fee and they will send it to ACRA.
Yeah, I think that information is probably important to make this decision. I also know too, it functions a little bit like ACTC in that it collects little bits of money over time to do larger projects. I know, I own one of the guys there, he's been trying to get a softball complex put in, and I know that's gonna be pretty expensive. They actually just approved on the CIP, so they can actually, the capital improvement plan, so that's on that list, and that money would be available for that. I mean, it's, a lot of times it's not the small amount that's the problem, it's the bigger projects they're trying to get done. It does create maintenance issues, obviously, but also generates income and participation, especially something like a softball complex.
So the MOU that was signed, it's expressly not binding. So if it's same with the ACTC one, the regional traffic, it's just sort of, we're all working together. Right. Technically not binding, but it does say, so if the county wanted to, even though the MOU says we'll all collect it, if the county wanted to temporarily defer or stop collection of the regional fee, it could do that. So it's not necessarily a problem that the cities may not be sending their money to ACRA. They technically aren't required to under that MOU, but I guess we just don't know if they have that pot of money still available for regional projects or not.
So where do we want to go with this?
I think it's pretty hard to make a definitive decision. We don't know how much money we got and where it is. So I think that's a good point. We need to nail that. Where the money, how much money we actually have.
Well, we know how much money we have.
Yeah, but
It's
that's all we know.
So we just need some more facts is what you're looking for.
The cities, and the city's money is Acra's, at Acra's discretion to spend.
Because I'd be kind of curious where the 406 is, for my money, and then the 1284, where, between those two funds, where is that money going to? We're collecting it as the county, but where is it going to?
I think the county's,
Because I didn't think the county was keeping any of it when we changed the Nexus system.
only that $400 local fee component, which is put into those regional pots, Jackson area.
Well, the 406 was supposed to be, well, I mean, it just says PINO.
Yeah, so that would be presumably in that upcountry pioneer pot of money.
Right, but I don't think, what I'm trying to say is Acra is not dividing it that,
Acra does not have to.
right?
Only,
So that's what I'm trying to get at is I think we need to relook at this to see how this money's being collected with, from the building department to see how that, we're sitting there, if we're pulling, so the 1284, where is that going?
that's going to Acra. That number, the auditor's number, they send that,
So I'm wondering, is Acra receiving, 1684?
oh, so on ADUs, they pay a percentage.
Right, it's 39%.
But all of the Acra money that the building department collects is sent to Acra.
Okay.
That's the 580. So since January of 2021, according to the auditor, we have sent just over $583,000 to Acra.
Well, I'm kind of curious about is try to split this baby in half if we can, figure out a better way of maybe not amending all of this, but change a different format to it. It still runs to Acra and then Acra sits there and fights over it to see where that money could possibly go for other projects, but maybe cut some of this money down in that aspect, and just make it, instead of a regional and a specific park, we make it just an Acra, discretionary fund. Not discretionary, I mean, impact fee fund.
You mean not charge a local park?
Yeah, I mean, because Acra can sit there and see where it needs to go.
There doesn't
Yeah.
have to be in fact, the original, when we were going through this process, the original plan, I don't believe, included a local fee.
The problem is, so the idea is I build a house upcountry. I'm creating an impact upcountry. So if there are local, non-regional parks that serve the upcountry area, my money should go there. My money should not go to Ione. But when we're talking about regional parks, these big regional parks that everyone uses, like the example, everyone plays soccer at Howard Park. You can use Pioneer money for Howard Park as a regional park. You can't use, you can't use Pioneer money for, what's the one on Sutter Volcano Road, that one off the
Lions?
side of the road, Lions Park.
Lions Club Park.
That's a local park. So I don't think you can mix them. I think they have to stay local and regional. Local would stay in its area, like at the old impact fee.
Only thing I'm trying to say is we need to bring this back and have a little bit better answers to how we're collecting this money, because, I haven't seen any local, the county had its its fund, that Glenn is depleting it right now through all these different functions that we've set up. We've sent money to Ione. We've sent money now to Amador City. We're doing stuff for Amador Park, Pioneer Park. So that money was supposed to be depleted,
That's the old pot.
and that's the old
They're
pot.
not getting mingled.
And that's what I'm trying to say, is
They're not
I know on Acra, when I'm looking at their funding source, they're not keeping those two, I mean, a separate pot from local to regional. So-
Accra doesn't get any local money. They only get the regional money.
Okay,
So Plymouth should be charging a regional fee and a local fee.
okay.
They keep their local fee. That regional fee either gets sent to Accra or at least kept in a pot for Accra. That's what they should be doing. That's what we agreed to do, but maybe they're not. That's the unknown to me.
Right.
The county, I've checked with the auditor, they're collecting our local fee, the new local, the 400 and,
Right.
just is not generating much. It's
Right.
like
There's so few homes,
$100,000.
Right.
Yeah. That's,
One region, unincorporated.
I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, we'll figure out a few more details and bring it back.
Okay,
More information?
yeah.
Yeah. I was just, and I agree, I was just thinking if we were to do this, we have $700,000 still to spend, all of our parks would still exist, they would all still being maintained for that entire process.
Brown says he's got it all.
Spent?
Well, I always will spend it if you let me, but I gotta get a whole bunch of other people to agree with me.
You need two more.
No, I need Accra, so I need that.
But I have a question before we get off this. $400,000 to put up a tennis court?
Repair one, I think.
So
To
the,
repair one? I'm just looking here, I had
Yeah.
mine done 2 years ago
it's actually between
by
the two
Adolfo
parks.
Ibarra for $5,000 cash.
My recollection is between the two parks, it's $800,000.
That's what I
And,
cannot believe.
and that's just the cost of construction these days. This is to reconstruct the tennis court. It actually expands it a bit, so now we have a separate tennis court, a separate set of pickleball courts, and we've got some ADA improvements too. So parking improvements.
This is kind of like,
Construction is just really expensive. I mean, that's the reality of
Are these, any of these guys the ones that do the high school courts?
well, we haven't gotten the bid yet. I mean, we
Yeah,
haven't
we
gotten
haven't
the
got it.
official
We're
bid.
putting it out shortly, within,
This is
I think
just what the
within a week.
designer,
Glenn,
you know,
hey,
the designer
one other
part of
thing
it.
too, I don't know if Logan would want to do it together or not, but if not, I was looking at doing it. Like up in the Pioneer Park, there's some trees up there, and I was looking at just donating it. Do you need to make that part of the bid, just remove that?
Well, I think I used up most of my donation from Supervisor Carnell.
I've already done tree work at Pioneer Park twice. I'm happy to go again.
let me see what we have with the specifics on that and see if we can work something like that in and see what the process would be to make any kind of an amendment.
Yeah, because we talked about it earlier all along, and I thought, well, maybe this is going forward, and hey, I don't mind doing this sweat equity.
I think that's a separate issue, because I think the trees are by the ballpark at Pioneer Park. That's the real problem.
The ballpark tree, you know, the bandstand trees,
And the parking lot.
and
No,
yeah.
I'm talking about the new construction, you're taking out like 10 or 11 trees.
Yeah, let me look at the bid and see if there is something we can do to incorporate that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we got to.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
I'm telling you, if I couldn't afford a home and I found out they spent $1 million on a tennis court, that's what people are so upset about. $1 million on a tennis court and I can't buy a home. Like, it's starting to make people angry, like across the nation. There's a whole book that just got written about it that's going, what do they call it, viral right now about, we're not going to like whoever gets elected over the next few years because they're looking for people who are just going to tear it down. I don't mean locally, I mean nationally.
You know, part of the problem too, Logan, you know who we got to blame? Ourselves.
I agree. But today is the day that we can turn it around. I mean, when we get enough information. It's one, what do you say, we sneak up on it? One baby step at a time.
Does the board have any direction on the ordinance, on the draft, like what you'd like to see? Someone said, instead of one a year, just one period.
I think one per person. Otherwise, I mean, I don't know, it's just a thought. I mean, I'm not, it's not a line in the sand for me, but
What was the '08 one?
It was one per person, but there were only 30. There were only 30 of the full waivers, and they went pretty fast. And so they didn't want, the board didn't want like one builder to come in and get 5 of them all at once. So it was limited.
I mean, can we, now this is a question is, you know, as Logan's talking about, Supervisor Cornell, excuse me, you know, for a starter home, you know, is there a price limit in that aspect? You know, somebody starting up just a 2-bedroom home, you know, like I'm putting an ADU on my property, and we're looking at, you know, roughly still with everything on there, still $300,000 for a home with the septic. You know, I had to add on to my septic system, you know, my water system, and all the rest of that. So it's still a lot of money sitting there. You know, can we bring that money down for a certain, you know, estimated cost?
Or one time only.
You can always charge less.
Right.
But if you want to change it based on how many rooms or things like that, you'd have to redo the fee. And so we'd have to engage a consultant to look at the nexus and rewrite it in a way that sort of took all of those things into consideration. Because right now, the park fee is sort of a flat fee, single family, multifamily, and then we've sort of treated ADUs separately. But
Yeah, because it's, you know, to me, a starter, you know, a home under 1,200 square foot. But, you know,
so, yeah, that would take a little longer to sort of rework the whole, where you took.
Supervisor Cornell, would you like that as a direction for staff to bring it back?
Just more information?
What's that?
For more information?
Well, for more information, as an option is also for homes under 1,200 square foot, you know, a less amount.
Either that or it's a one-time, you only get it once. Like, you can only do this one time or something.
Well, that kind of,
One time for a primary residence or?
One time for a primary residence.
Yeah.
Because my wife wouldn't let me build a 2-bedroom house because she's worried about caring for her parents when they get older.
right.
But it was our only house that we built, so.
But your house wasn't a starter home, your house was your.
Yeah, not really, no. And it had to have room for
Yeah,
cats and stuff.
Because part of the first part of your conversation is a starter home for somebody, you know.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, if there was a way to point it towards starter homes, I mean, if I could say you had to graduate from Amador or Argonaut High School, I would do that. But apparently you can't make a bunch of exceptions for local.
You cannot.
But I'll try it.
Aside from being illegal, it's a great idea.
But, you know, as a direction, do you want staff to bring it back as options, as look at it from also as a starter home,
Yes, please.
you know, something under 1,200 square foot, if that's even possible? I don't even know if that's possible.
If it's possible.
Yeah, we'll look at it.
Okay.
I'm more concerned if Acra's got any money at all. They might be broke, sounds like.
Well, we're trying to keep them afloat, Supervisor Cornell and I.
Yeah, they were into their savings to weed eat these parks that we have this year.
That's what I'd heard.
Into their
That's why
reserve
I was
funds, so.
wondering about waiving the fee, but that waiving it wouldn't.
Doesn't affect their budget.
Doesn't
That
affect
was
their
my
bottom.
original question.
And we wouldn't, you know, technically, if all the jurisdictions are charging a regional fee and keeping it segregated, and then at some point it gets used on regional projects, it doesn't need to all be funneled to ACRA to manage. But there has to be a way to know what that total is. And right now, we don't know what that total is.
Okay.
I think that's why we need some more information.
And it does affect Acra's budget on the other side of it. It produces more maintenance.
Yeah,
So
if we
they
build
don't have
more
enough to
stuff.
maintain what we're doing now, and if we build them more to do, yeah.
Right. For myself at Pioneer Park, I'm looking for more cost-effective things that people can use, that it doesn't cost I think, I had the conversation with a couple teenagers over there that were using longboards and scooting down Buckhorn Ridge Road on longboards. And so, if there was a skate park here, they were just thrilled to death to see if I could ever get, some smooth cement. Because I guess the
Move
talk.
anything up there.
Yeah. So that's something for the future. Well, so we'll bring that back.
Public comment?
Any public comment? Okay, anybody on Zoom?
No, not at this time.
Okay, we will still bring this back at a future date. And then we got public hearing at 10:30. Surveyors Department request to hold a public hearing and adoption resolution approval of public utility easement abandonment and related certificate of merger as requested by Sean Anderson and Stephanie Anderson. Good to see you, kind sir.
Good morning.
I'm Roger Pitto, your county surveyor, and Tisha Adams, my assistant, is over by the chair. What we have today is a merger and abandonment of an easement concurrently for the Andersons, who live in Unit 1 of Lake Comanche Village. We see no objections to granting their wish, and I recommend approval of both the merger and the abandonment of the easement.
Okay. Supervisors? All good? Anybody from the public? Zoom?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Do I have a motion to,
You need to close.
actually, I need to close this public hearing. Motion to close this public hearing.
Did you make a motion, Dan, or?
Yeah, I started to, yes. I was waiting for him to close the hearing. I'll make a motion to adopt the resolutions.
Okay, but we're closing the hearing first.
Yes.
Okay, so you motion that. Do I have a second on closing the public hearing?
Second.
Okay. And call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, now we're go on to
Thank you.
approval. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt the resolutions to, the 5A.
Okay.
Second.
Second by Supervisor Cornell. Call for the vote again. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Roger that.
Good morning. How you doing, sir?
Good, yourself?
Good to see you.
Likewise.
Okay.
Always good to see you.
We're going to go back to 4G, review and possible approval of July 22nd Board of Supervisor meeting minutes and July 29th Board of Supervisor special meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Cornell, second by Supervisor Crew. Call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And opposed? And this concludes the Board of Supervisors meeting. We'll meet again Tuesday, August 26th at 9 a.m. Thank you.